Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, I want to give you a quick update about what Solana is doing right now because this is the moment of truth and you need to be paying attention. And so with that in mind, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into today's video. So looking at Solana here, what we can see is that its price has now officially reached the top side of this triangle as we spoke about in the last Solana update. In the last Solana update, we were getting up to this level here and I said, listen, there may be one more little push upwards to try to get to the top side here. But once that does happen, and if that does happen, you need to be extremely aware and cautious that the odds of a pullback become ever more likely. Now, obviously, there are opportunities that this might break out of this descending structure, right? We might break this resistance. That is possible. Hell, even at one point, you can see we got outside of it. We didn't just get rejected the moment we hit it. We got outside of it. But as you can see, of course, we were not able to maintain outside of it. If we do go down to like the 15-minute charts, what you can see here is that as we did break above this line, we tried to back test and hold support, but every time we came back down to try to hold the support, we did fail to establish that support. And so now we are just kind of starting to rotate, doing the revolving door around this key level of resistance. Now, as we are getting closer and closer to figuring out if we're going to get the official breakout of this ascending level of resistance, we can see a couple very important things happening on our chart prime oscillator. We now do have the official overbought reading printing here on the daily chart prime oscillator, which does usually and typically imply that some type of pullback is going to happen. And of course, we did get that overbought reading a couple days ago. So considering the fact that we are still moving, that's a sign that, a pullback is somewhat likely. If we do look at our Bollinger Bands, we are now back inside of the Bollinger Bands, but we are still well extended to the top side. And the likelihood here is that once you do get extended to the top side for extended periods of time, as you can see here, and as you can see here, you will typically come back down towards that 20 simple moving average, which is around our key level of support around $28. Now, not only did all of that happen, but we can see on the weekly charts, we did just get the first overbought box here on the weekly chart prime oscillator that we've gotten since October of 2021, which was obviously the top of the last bull market. You can see here that we've not got any yellow boxes since the bear market started, but this is the very first overbought reading that we have got. And considering that is the biggest warning for me, that's like, oh shit, okay, yeah, we might get a pullback here. Obviously, we do know that 80% of the time ascending structure of this nature will break to the downside. And so, of course, because of that, I do get ever more, I believe it's more increasingly likely that we will get some type of pullback, but obviously not guaranteed. Now, generally speaking, when we do get a pullback, we are going to see that pullback happen around the 70% mark of these types of structures. And at this given point, we are not at that 70% mark yet. And that does give us some time to possibly, maybe pull back, bounce one more time to the upside, and then pull to the downside here. And so with that in mind, considering we are getting these overbought readings, considering we are getting the bearish indicators flashing on the daily charts as well, and we're simply just struggling to hold support on top of this ascending level of resistance, all of these things tell me it is extremely important to just slow down right now. Personally, I do have a game plan that I'm going to implement now with Solana over the next few weeks, maybe even the next, month or so, while we are really overbought towards the upside here. And so let's talk about what my own personal game plan is. Now, before we do get into that, I will kind of give you a bit of a heads up. The game plan is rather boring. And while we are in these boring markets, I do look for other opportunities that aren't as boring. And that is why I wanted to just mention today's partner and sponsor of the channel, which of course is the Collateral Network. So what you can see here is that the Collateral Network is finally allowing people to see peer-to-peer lending on the blockchain without having to go through the annoying process of dealing with banks and things like that we see in traditional finance that personally I absolutely despise having to deal with. Now, it's honestly a pretty easy three-step process from just fractionalizing, borrowing, and trading, in which people can then fractionalize and trade and borrow against things such as their real estate, their cars, their fine art, their luxury watches. Literally anything that you can think of that holds value can be fractionalized and borrowed against. Now, what's actually really cool is that they are also implementing some more tangible things that people are more excited about, such as what you can see here, something that they are entering into the world of, which is tokenized Pokemon cards. Now, they're actually currently giving away their a 1999 Pokemon base set Charizard just to celebrate their tangible NFT drop and to celebrate the fact that they're now really entering into the world of tangible assets. And I do believe that this is a great first step because, of course, these types of Pokemon cards and tangible cards are things that people get really motivated behind, right? Now, if you actually do go ahead to their mint page, you can see that this is something that you can already become a part of. You can see that there's 24 of 444 minted, and I do believe this will continue to sustain and gain a lot of hype. Now, not only because of this, but you can see here that the token itself is going to be going live here on MEXC on the 1st of November, which is tomorrow at 11 a.m. UTC, and that is something that I personally am going to take part in, because I do think that if they can capitalize on this part of the industry correctly, they could see a lot of growth, and that growth is obviously something that I want to be a part of. And so with that in mind, I did want to bring them to you all. Of course, they did sponsor today's integration, so I hope you guys do go check them out. The links will be down in the description below. But with that in mind, of course, let's go back and let's start talking about what is happening here on Solana and what my game plan is. Well, I will actually say that at this given point, I have now halted all purchases on Solana for the next at least probably around a week. The reason being is because this is a decision-making point, okay? This is the decision-making point in the sense that we're either about to pull back, and if we pull back, I obviously would rather be purchasing here. If that is the case, then obviously, if we do start to pull back, I'm actually going to increase my rate of purchase. Even if I am correct and we break to the bottom side of the support, I am so extremely confident that Solana is going to establish a higher low somewhere and then continue to the upside over the long run, that I want to be buying like a madman in this pullback, because it could be the last major pullback Solana sees before the bull market really kicks off into 2024, if that is happening. Now, there is another opportunity in which says that instead of us pulling back here, we are going to get some type of major move to the upside here, in which we actually break ascending structure, which is less than a 20% chance of happening. And if that is the case, then obviously we could be looking for a big quick move to the upside before we eventually do get a big pullback. And at this given point, I will start actually taking a little bit of profits. That is what I've decided that I want to do, because this major pullback is going to happen, and I want to lock in some type of profits if we do get super overextended at this point. So right now, being that that is such a big difference between what could happen if we go here and what could happen if we go here, I'm just pausing. I'm halting. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to let this play out, and I will of course continuously update you as this does happen. So make sure that you watch closely what is happening at this key level of resistance, and make sure that you have your alert set to know if we do start to pull back here below around $33, or if we're capable of breaking above about $37, $38 and getting this last final hoorah to the upside. So I will continue to update you as this plays out. Make sure that you do subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you do want to make sure that you see the next video right when it comes out. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.